During the 2010 election, President Obama famously mocked the Republican Party, saying that they had driven the economy into a ditch and were now asking for the keys back. No! You can't drive! We don't want to have to go back into the ditch. We just got the car out! Only Democrats could save the economy with payroll tax cuts and massive stimulus spending on targeted investment like infrastructure and green technology. Now Mitt Romney is saying that Obama has spent 4 years driving the economy in the wrong direction. Regulations have made businesses afraid to invest. Too much government spending has left all of us broke. We need Republicans to cut our taxes and free us from the heavy yoke of big government. Candidates often boil the campaign down to one question. Which of these two do you want in the driver's seat? Which one do you trust to fix the economy more? Your answer should be neither. The fact is, the president doesn't have that much control over the economy. Year after year they make these promises, but the economy is millions and millions of people making individual decisions to work, invest, save, and invent. The president doesn't have some magic button that can make people do those things. Sure, he could screw it up if he started nationalizing everything in sight or decided to default on our debt, but neither candidate is going to do that. In part because over the years, governments have learned that those things don't work, and in part because the American political system won't let them. So they're going to tinker around the edges. They'll raise taxes or lower them by a couple of percentage points. If we're really lucky, they'll simplify the tax code, as Mitt Romney has promised to do, lowering rates in exchange for eliminating deductions. Most economists agree this would be good for the economy, but I don't know any who think that we'd get as much as 1% annual growth out of it, even if we could get it through Congress, which doesn't really seem all that likely. And that's one of the few policies they all agree on. As for the policies they don't agree on, maybe we'll send some subsidies to high school teachers or defense contractors, but those things won't make the economy or break it. Even the massive stimulus was small in the context of the whole economy, just a couple of percentage points of GDP a year for 3 years. If you look back to the 30s, it's true, FDR had way more power. The famous first 100 days that basically every president since has been trying to replicate. He had much more scope for action than a modern president does. But one of the things that people forget is that he had the scope for action to do stupid things as well as things that we like. The president, since the 70s, really hasn't had that kind of power. In a reaction to Nixon, we stripped it away. Which means that the president cannot be like Captain Jean-Luc Picard and just come in and sit down in his little control room and say, "Make it so." And if you think about it, that's a really good thing. Imagine if electing one man were the difference between prosperity and doom. Every 4 years, we'd all be in grave danger, mass unemployment, or maybe mass starvation. We should be glad that the president doesn't actually have that much power. Of course, that doesn't stop them from saying they do. It's a standard of American election season, but you shouldn't listen. There are real issues to vote about in this election, real questions about how we should care for the weakest members of our society and how much of their earnings we take. But those are the reasons to vote, not because someone promises that they can grow the economy. If you want to know what's going to happen with the economy, don't look at the White House. Look at your neighbors.